Hello, and welcome back for a new episode of the Repaint Reality Manifestation Podcast. My name is Karina Joe, and I am glad to be back. It's been a second since we've done this thing, and life has changed so much again. And so today, what we're going to be rolling with is going to be on that upper limit, and more so, how to go beyond the upper limit and not. It's basically when it's too good to be true is another way of saying it, whatever we want to look at it in the modern day version, when things are just like, pinch me, I'm dreaming, and suddenly what comes to play? Sabotage. And so how do we not dance into the sabotage? How do we not say it's too good to be true, wait for it to blow up somehow, and then actually wait for the blow up? And so that is the big key today. And for updates, since it has been a second since the last time we've done this song and dance, there is a baby on the way, so that's really fun. Got family expanding. I think I have definitely included where I got married before. I think it's really cool because the Love Bug episode literally was recorded like the week of meeting my husband. And so it was really neat talking about just ways of manifesting like healthy relationships and things like that, and staying really comfortable with taking care of the self up until that time. And then boom, life was about to change again. And so it has continued to evolve from that. And I'm really excited because now we get to meet our cute little kiddo that's going to be like a whole part of this adventure with us. And I'm very grateful for having a partner and a husband that is so supportive and so in this. It's been very emotional at times when I see a father that wants to be a father and wants to be very present and is very engaged. And it's something that I think I could have imagined or could have dreamed of, but sometimes even that gets to those moments where I'm like, wow, this is really what this looks like. And it's magical and it's special. And so that could be an example. Luckily, I feel like I've grounded into that pretty well. I have no interest in sabotaging that. But another big thing that has come up has been a new location. Downtown location, downtown Hot Springs. So we're moving the shop from Park Avenue to Central Avenue to the main strip. And that is something that I had said I wanted for years. More years than I can probably count. Something that was always in my imagination, but I didn't necessarily think was close or close enough. And even when I would send out calls or check in on spaces that were vacant, the numbers would be so out there, so unrealistic for what would be practical with the size that we are at this time and space. Like, I'm all about the stair stepping. Y'all know how I love a good stair step to build into dreams and manifestations, but this is how it goes, you know? We know what we want. We get real focused on what we want. We hold space for it. We're willing to do the work for it. But sometimes there's a little bit of time in between when you know what you want and the steps that are all building into that. And so the Park Avenue shop was 10,000 times a step. It was a step that was so important. And I think it actually was part of what opened the door for us to be able to get in for this new location. But now we're going downtown. And that's when I thought of this podcast in this episode, was because I was like probably 1 or 2 days into the realization, and I kept having that pinch me, I'm dreaming feel, or that this is too good to be true, or when I'd even have dreams, it almost felt like it was just waiting for that rug to be pulled out from under the moment. And so this is where we hit an upper limit. It's that moment that you start to have your manifestations come into fruition, something that you've been working on forever, something that you know has been a goal, a desire, something that you have built towards, but it actually comes to fruition. It's in front of you. And that moment where you say, whoa, what do I do with this? How do I integrate with this? And that is the upper limit. It's when you suddenly realize, I haven't done this before. It was in my mind. It was a fantasy, but that's what it felt like, a fantasy. And so the goal is what you don't want to do, what I didn't want to do, because I'm glad I even knew about upper limits in that point, because immediately I caught it and I was like, this is becoming an upper limit and I have no interest at all and pulling the rug myself. I know the subconscious, I know how it loves to play its games. The subconscious loves that familiarity. It loves to know what to expect. And what you can expect is safe. And so the moment you make a change this big, even if it's a dream change, it says, hey, this is not familiar. This is not what we've come to expect this whole time. So this means that it's a danger. This means that it's not predictable. So we should avoid it at all costs. And that's just the natural flow of the mind trying to keep you in a good, safe space. But we know whenever we're about to taste something that has been that desirable, that dreamy, if you will, you don't want to stay safe. You want the unfamiliar. You want the change. You want the new. And sometimes there's things where you feel, you're in it and you can't necessarily sabotage it too hard. I'm really grateful. I mean, I've done everything I can with pregnancy, even to be as careful as I can and safe as I can. But it's one of those where you realize that you're in it and that life's about to change within 9 months from when you find out. And it's kind of nice because you're in it. You're realizing here it comes, and you get a season of preparing for that big change. And I think we're probably wired a little bit, just biologically, to be okay with that big of a change, especially if we're open to it. But with something like changing locations to a downtown spot, that's so fast, the way that changed. It was genuinely within one day that I was on the phone asking about if I could see a spot that I found out is available, to the end of the day being like, okay, I'm writing a check tomorrow, we're gonna see you, we're gonna sign a lease and everything. And so at that point, that it was a very short timeline, a few weeks even, to be able to turn that around. And so what do you do when that sabotage desire hits, or that what's gonna happen next, or is this safe, when your body's like, is this even safe? This is where it's really important to go into a grounding, go into a familiarizing this, go into how can I continue to nurture this now that it's here. And so that way that energy does continue to build this, does continue to allow this to thrive. And so I did immediately go into grounding moments. I did a lot of breathing, focusing on my breath, focusing in on the safety. I started to show up to this location almost every day to just make it more familiar, to get past that feeling of, oh my gosh, this is wild, it's too good to be true. Instead, just try to normalize it. If the more you can normalize something, the easier it is for your subconscious to not see it as this crazy outlandish concept. And so even just showing up every day, seeing it, starting to ask how I can nurture it, finding the ways that I could build into it from where I already am. So grounding techniques are really great. You can do your breath work, you can do your tapping if you want to. You can go ahead and go in for normalizing. Maybe it's showing yourself pictures. Maybe it's going to a location. Maybe it's, in the pregnancy process, we probably call it nesting, when we start to get things and normalize it and prepare a space. But even before that, how can you normalize this too good to be true concept and make it so that way your subconscious doesn't see it as a change or as something crazy and out there anymore, but something that just feels home and familiar to the self? Because it's not familiar at first. But you can find ways to slowly nurture that familiarity back into you. That way it's not so crazy. And then how can you prepare for it? And so I started asking myself, how can I prepare for this? How can I still stay in a flow with the current location and put things out there to continue building for what it is that we're about to show up for as we get all of these changes underway? And then the planning. And so grounding, familiarizing, preparing. These are 3 things that I think really help when it comes to that too good to be true and that upper limit. That way, instead of just saying, oh my gosh, what do I do with this? How do I deal with this? How? Instead, you get to say, okay, no, let me calm back down in my nervous system. Let me get this just to where I can see it and accept it and not feel like it's abstract or abnormal, or where I'm waiting for something to go wrong. I think people do this a lot in relationships if they've had a lot of rough relationships, where if you've been cheated on in the past, if you've had really bad words spoken to you within romantic dynamics, just things that have gone south, those moments where people get into relationships that seem really good and kind, and suddenly they're like, no, this is not. So if you were to ground into it, you'd be still saying okay, I'm going to calm my nervous system. I'm going to ground in ways that is maybe tapping, maybe breath work, maybe meditation, just to help that nervous system get down, calm down. And then when you come to normalizing, Maybe looking at examples of relationships that have been healthy. Maybe looking at ways that you can spend ideas of this person, time with this person, that's in a healthy manner. That's in a way that says like, no, I can appreciate this. I can be safe with this. I can also trust my own boundaries and what I've learned from the past as red flags or as green flags to be able to move forward with this. And then when it comes to preparation, how can I still continue to nurture this relationship? How can I still continue to plan and prepare for the best possible outcome by taking care of myself and honoring this dynamic and this relationship that we're building? Because last time I talked about upper limits, I saw a lot of people referencing the relationship side of it. But this is the 3 things that I would say really, really, and you can do it so many different ways. Go in for a Reiki if you want to ground. Go do energy work on yourself if you want to ground. But just know that if you hit that upper limit, if that moment shows up in your mind, if you're having that like, oh shit, this is here, what do I do with it? And how do I not wreck it? I mean, honor the fact that you felt it in the first place. Like, way to go, congrats. Like, that is the first step. I'm glad when I felt it and could actually identify it, because I was like, you're not running the show. We're gonna integrate you in. And that's where you get to go next. Once you identify it and you can acknowledge it, man, that awareness is so much. We talk about this with this show, with the manifestation process. Awareness is a gift. You can do so much with it, because a whole part of this, big part of this, is your awareness, is your ability to check in, is your ability to be conscious about your subconscious, conscious of your desires, but conscious about what your subconscious is trying to do in response to reality coming closer, especially when manifestation hits reality. Suddenly you're in it, because we want to keep it. We want to go beyond it. We want to soar and thrive and fly way beyond what the upper limit is right now, because in 2 years, 5 years, there's going to be a completely different upper limit for you. But right now, it's time to face this one. So whatever you've got going on, whatever's too good to be true, whatever came real that you're so grateful for, that you want to hold on to and go beyond, I'm sending you that love, sending you all of that good energy, that grounding energy. We've definitely got some videos out there of some sound and some Reiki and meditation. So if you're in that grounding phase, feel free. If you're normalizing and you just journal every day about what this looks like, a day in the life with this state of normality, whatever this upper limit is, normalize it. And if you want to prepare for it, have fun with it. Enjoy the fact that you enjoy it this much, that it feels too good to be true. Enjoy preparing how you continue to build with it and build upon it. It's your gift. And congratulations if you are at that point where you're hitting that upper limit. But I'm going to send you my love, and I'll talk to you again soon. And repaint reality, friends. Have fun manifesting. Bye.